till 1:38 o'clock.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Once again, the Paranormal Guys. We are here Wednesday night to talk about anything paranormal, entertainment, or just plain talk. Join the chat, and we're also going to be live on Yerg's Radio. You can call us at 1-888-88-YERGZ, and we'll go over any questions you have. So hop on in here. Let's find out who I got here. I got the wonderful and beautiful Dina.
Hello.
And Nikki, how are you, lovely ladies?
I'm great.
You're muted. You're muted, Nikki. So.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Thank you.
I knew there was a reason you were quiet. So, all right, well, let's get into this. So we have a special treat tonight with the director and the star of Mrs. Vera's Daybook, and they're going to tell us all about their stuff. Let's introduce them real quick. David and Robert.
Hey,
Hey, y'all.
And I also forgot our wonderful and talented producer in Florida that's getting us out over the radio, Ross.
Hey, Ross.
Hey, everybody. Happy
How are
Wednesday.
you? Happy
Happy
Wednesday.
Welcome, guys.
So, Ross, do you want to stay on screen with us the whole time, or you want me to hide you, or it don't matter?
I just I got to do some other radio stuff, so I'll watch the phones and message you as usual.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, I'm going to hide you. All right. See you in a bit, Ross. All right. So, yeah, we are live on Live 365, Yerg's YERGZ radio, and you can call into the show at 1-888-88-YERGZ. And David, Robert, that's kind of a new thing, so we still got to get used to doing it. So we're everywhere on the internet tonight. So tell us, David, I know you are, I don't know if you want to be called the star. And then Robert, you kind of kept everybody in check and filmed and directed everything. So tell us about it.
Well, I'm sort of half the star. It's like it's really about the movie is sort of focused on the relationship between me and my partner, and in a way, we're just part of the star because there's a whole group of people who have joined in on this weird costume odyssey that we're have been on for 2.5 decades now.
Nice.
Yeah, I found the story through friends in San Francisco that led me to Mrs. Vera and the Vera Sphere, all the people. David and his partner, Michael, just started out taking photos in these crazy costumes. I mean, you're paranormal here, and if you were to see the Vera Sphere in the San Francisco Pride Parade, you would think that you are seeing something from another planet. The last big Pride Parade March in 2019, they were awarded the Grand Marshals of the Parade, and David and Michael got to ride in the convertible, and we filmed that, and that's kind of the finale of our film. And so there were about 125 people in the wildest costumes you can possibly imagine. They're always a big hit, but that year in particular was spectacular.
And the impression is always, it's strange, but it's very joyful. But we originally started making these photos because both of our health was really bad. This was before the AIDS meds were really effective. So it comes from a place where we just didn't want to waste the time that we had being boring. And then it sort of escalated into this whole sort of community activity, which we never really, had envisioned for it. We were just making photographs. We're both artists. And I was a painter and he was a photographer, basically. And we just, as I started making these more and more elaborate costumes, that were stranger and harder to explain, people really responded to them. So we just sort of let that evolve organically over time.
Yeah, I saw some of it, and it was I'm a photographer, so I loved all the bright, vibrant colors, and of course, being the paranormal, I loved all of the costumes, and it was so impressive. I really enjoyed that. Now, I don't remember, did this happen in more than one city, or did it just happen in San Francisco?
We are based in San Francisco, and I think we're best known in San Francisco, but we've gone to lots. We've done the character and brought the costumes anytime we've traveled. So we've been to Australia, we've been to London, we've been down to LA. So we travel a little bit, but and we have a lot of people who come from like Thailand or England again to do this annual event, and we do other things throughout the year, but Pride is really the big focus, because our basic idea is like since we're in San Francisco, we can be as weird and crazy as we want, but a lot of people can't do that where they are. So I always feel like we should step that up and just show that it is possible to, whatever you want to express, you can express it. And we have the liberty to do that here. So I always try to be even stranger than I was the time before. It's like the outfit's not finished until I'm a little bit mystified and don't know what's going on with it. And, that's my happy space.
That's great.
Well, that's what I love about it too. That's what I love about it too, is how everybody gets to express that side of themselves in this. So important for people to be artistic in their own ways during all this.
And it has a kind of drag focus, but it's an interesting kind of drag in that like gender doesn't really matter in it.
Right.
One person wears it this year, a different persuasion wears it the next year, and it just doesn't matter. And you can't even tell anyway. Like the shapes are all like they're not typical human being looks. So it's really liberating a lot of people. We have a lot of transgender people who come, and they're so used to the attention being on what they're going through, that by dressing up as this sort of kind of space clowny thing, it sort of like none of that matters, and it's very liberating.
Right.
It's a very liberating experience.
And they'll march alongside, housewives from Oakland, because they're part of the Veras too. And, all nationalities, all genders, and nobody knows who you are under that costume.
Right.
So, that focus isn't.
It's great. It's part of our freedoms in this country, and we're so blessed by it. And you were talking about location. I live in Atlanta, and it's more accepted, more open. It's nothing. But when I come here to visit my mom in Knoxville, it's totally different. And so I get that. And having seen the difference between the two, and I think I told you both I'm a paramedic and have been out in the field and seeing the culture change. Yeah, I totally get it. It allows you all a lot of freedom and a lot of things you should have everywhere. So
and this past year, we've seen a few threats, in different states, like the one you're visited, and there was I can't imagine where Dolly Parton comes from, that they had a problem with drag. And she even said that, she's a big advocate for the community. And, but this is, the Veras is a great thing, because people that don't do drag on a regular basis get to like really go out and be flamboyant. No one knows who they are anyway under makeup and costume. And they get to have that experience. And David and Michael make most of the costumes, and then also host workshops so people can do their own, and they guide them. And that's part of the film also. We talk about how people get to, get their, their creativity on by making costumes themselves, along with pieces that David and Michael make also. It's
that's interesting.
It's a real community effort.
To it,
Right.
There's elements of drag that are, give the appearance of celebrity without necessarily having to be actually famous for anything.
Right.
Like Robert was saying, it's like anyone can come in and have this kind of experience where people, I mean, they just treat you like you're a rock star, because that's what the parade is for. And you look really kind of, you look like you're up to something, even if you're just wearing it for the afternoon.
You look awesome. He doesn't want to say that, but you look awesome.
You look like you're up to something and awesome.
Yeah.
It worked for the band Kiss for how many years? So, hey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. People love to see people get freaky.
That's
And this is multiplied. It's it's an explosion.
And to see people being freaky that are actually having fun and enjoying themselves, as opposed to being really severe and scary, which you can get in drag a lot. And a lot of people are kind of afraid of drag. It's a mixed bag. So we try and be like, we look like we might be really scary, but then the way we all carry ourselves and interact, it's just like a normal picnic with a crazy family. That's all.
I think that's what a lot of the fears are from people. They just don't understand, and sometimes education is your best tool, and this is definitely educating the masses, and that's what we hope to do too. I grew up originally from Washington D.C. I grew up in, this was just another day in the office, so to speak. So, and when AIDS came around, you're right, it absolutely terrified everybody, especially your community, and having gotten the virus. It's horrible. And I know that's how you started it with the photographs every day, and then it just bloomed to this. This is great. I really am impressed with the height of which you've taken this and how high it's going to go.
Oh, thank you.
And they do, and they do it all for free. There's no awesome website to PayPal your dollars for a costume. It's all a community effort. It's all about fun. David and Michael do this year round, and luckily they have supporters that will drop some donations their way, just because they love what they do. But they're not in it for the money. And it's kind of like me. I make documentary films. We're not in it for the money. We love the stories that we find. And David and Michael's is probably the best story I've ever found. I'm working on a good one now, though. And maybe you'll have us back when that one comes out, because it's a story close to David and Michael that they know. They were a part of this artistic community, and
and for us, like coming into it as artists, I think it's really unusual to offer people an experience where there's not a commercial aspect to it, where we're not even promoting a show or a club. We're just people want to understand like what it is that they're supposed to buy from us. But the fact is, like, they've already had the experience that they're going to have by the time they get to that point. And and we get, as an artist, it's extremely rewarding when people respond to your work. It doesn't always have to be great, but it's like it elicits a real genuine response. And a lot of times we're making people really, really happy about something that's adjacent to something that's always been a kind of sad spot in their life. And I think Robert's film does a really great job of showing like the difficulties that if you're HIV positive or have AIDS, all that you go through, but it still has like a happy ending. And I think it's taken 30 years before people can even imagine like how you can make a film about AIDS that has a happy ending. It's like people just don't think it's possible. And but that's their takeaway when they see it. It sort of lets them lay some ghosts to rest, because everybody has people that they lost, and what do you do with that loss? And we just did something strange with it, but that gave us it really gave us a way to move forward and be better people because of it.
Perfect outlet. Perfect.
Yeah. Very nice.
How did COVID affect any of this? Here in the Southeast, it was just lock everything down.
COVID for me was really hard. I'm still struggling with it. It changed how I felt about other people. You know, Mrs. Vera is this very uplifting, humorous character that just wants to spread joy. And I just find it's really challenging for me to tap into that the way I used to. When it was just HIV, that was never an issue. But with COVID and the behaviors that it, you know, has elicited from so many people, it's really hard for me to look at. So, you know, I struggle with that, but it's, you know, we're still as upbeat as we can be. And the fact is it is bad. So, you know, that's the right response.
But I love that you were able to do this at a time that it got through to people during COVID also. So that speaks volumes for that, what you just said too, that there's always a happy ending to it somewhere.
Yeah.
If it can have the right outlet.
And you know what it did for us was it stopped our film. We weren't done shooting, and at the end of our film, David creates a beautiful mural in a LGBTQ senior housing complex, and he had to stop. I mean, it was a senior complex. COVID came along, and it was like, okay, stop the mural. You know, you can't go into a senior place with without masks or anything. You know, when lockdown happened, we were locked out of the old folks' home. So, but what we were able to do in our local PBS station, KQAD here in San Francisco, was show a 56-minute version of our film. And then as soon as the restrictions lifted a bit and we could go out in the world cautiously, David was able to finish the mural for one, which gave us that footage, but we also got to tell Michael and David's experience, which is in the film. I like that we have this time capsule to talk about, you know, what happened in San Francisco and what happened with artists and what happened with our project. So I also love the fact that we were able to show it on public television because, you know, David and Michael do their art for free. So we were able to give that for free, especially during Pride Month in San Francisco when nobody was leaving their house. So we got to spread a little pride joy. That was a good thing that happened for us. But even better was that we got to finish it and then make it into this feature film that is out right now globally.
Right.
That's very good. Very glad you did get to finish it.
Oh, I'm in too. You know.
Well, and I love the fact, like you said, it kind of had that time capsule of something that may not have gotten brought out had that had not happened also in the way that it got brought out too.
Yeah.
And I want to tip my hat to your editor, Nick and Rudy, who made such great use of that extra time in making the film as you know, colorful and as beautiful as it is. I mean, I'm just so thrilled with the look of the film and how it
cinematic
covers what we do in it. It's weird to have a film made about yourself. Not something I would ever have set out to do. And I would never have approached a filmmaker and said, would you make a movie about my love story with my partner and all these costumes? It's just, you know, I just didn't know what angle he would take, but he always knew the story he wanted to tell. And I love all the interviews of our, you know, people and their takes on it. And it just, I think the film just looks wonderful. It's a real delight to actually spend the time watching it.
Yeah, even in the trailers, it's just this huge pop that captures your attention as soon as you see it start. So it keeps you the whole time.
One of my favorite reviews was somebody said, you know, bring your sunglasses. You know,
I like that.
Yeah. So it's big.
It's huge.
It's great. And you're right about the time capsule. And that's something that's going to mark our time period. Hopefully we won't see anything like that again, but it's certainly going to be a marker that we'll remember forever. We all lost somebody to that too as well. So
yes, we did.
It was horrible. So hopefully we won't go through that again. Fingers crossed. So
well, I love the one part in our film. David says, you know, he's talking about the AIDS epidemic and before there was medication, and he said for anybody that was there or even remembers if they were there. That's kind of how I am with COVID. I'm like, I sat in this very office. I actually was lucky and like finished, a 2-year art degree at college, and because I think I would have gone insane if I hadn't. So I had something to do, but I'm looking around this space, and I kind of spent 2 years here, in my home office, and I don't really remember it that well. I don't remember it as like David mentioned for the other pandemic that
absolutely
we've been through in this country.
Yeah, I had.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I had been attacked on duty by a dog, and so I spent the whole time in surgery and recovery on the job injury. So I was locked in as well. And prior to that, I had been out on the streets dealing with it, and we were so afraid of it. If I had come in contact with a person that was known COVID, you'd get 2 shifts off automatically. It's like, well, I mean, I get sick, but everybody was so afraid of it. And in the medical profession, when it first come out, with HIV/AIDS, everybody was just terrified of it. That's when we switched to using gloves in the field, which we should, it's not like we should have been doing that the whole time, but you know how it is with everything that progresses slowly. And there were such fears about that. And so I came in at the end of that in my career, but I distinctly remember people talking about how they were afraid of it. And I now that I'm older and have had time to think back, I'm like, well, yeah, you can get it, but it's not like you were saying about the COVID. You could be in Kroger's or Publix or Safeway or wherever you are, and somebody sneezed 2 aisles over, and boom,
we, with the ones of us that have come through, we've come through, but there was no guarantee of that, and as a country, we just haven't dealt with the fact that people couldn't see their parents who were dying of it. It's like it's so horrifically PTSD inducing to think about all the people that because of that fear and that lack of knowledge and we didn't know until they had vaccines that worked if any of us were gonna anyone could fall to this thing horribly, quickly, rapidly. So having litigated a lot of stuff like that in the AIDS epidemic, it was like to see people choosing to make it that difficult was really rough, and I don't think we've done that as a country. I don't think we talk about it.
No, we don't.
I think it'll probably take a couple decades, just like with AIDS, before we have any real perspective on what we've been through.
Yeah,
collectively.
Right.
It's so controversial too now, which is being in the medical field, I don't understand. There's science, so
And I think there's so little information out there. Like, I'm just going to be honest, I had no idea of the achievements that's even been made in this area because there's no information. You literally have to have an insider kind of connection to get the real deal on it, because it's surprising to me when I found out how far it's come. And when COVID hit, it was a big issue, thinking about people with immune compromised systems. So, nobody was really even talking about the issue of HIV or AIDS or anything during that time. So it kind of loses traction in everybody's minds, and it's still very much going on.
Absolutely.
David, when you've been through probably a lot of the medical procedures from the beginning with this, did you seek any alternative treatments, or have you been pretty much staying with the mainstream?
When we were going through it, most of the people who were dealing with it knew as much or more than the doctors. It was really just a complete lack of knowledge. Everybody felt the same way at the beginning of COVID. We just didn't know anything. So people were kind of really desperate to try anything. And I knew a lot of people that did a lot of alternative stuff. But I had great doctors that I had a lot of faith in. Michael, my partner, actually had much more serious medical things that we really, we were really prepared for him, not to survive very long, but he did. Once the meds came out, the protease inhibitors that started working, everything really changed at that point. So I didn't actually do a whole. I did what was available and recommended, but I didn't do a lot of alternative stuff. And the people that I knew that did, it was sort of like a Hail Mary deal making thing. And sometimes you get better, sometimes you don't. But we just really were grasping at straws at the time.
Well, I got a story around that too. I dated a guy back in the late 90s, and I didn't even tell my family that he had AIDS because I didn't want their Midwest, lack of knowledge to even enter the conversation. But, we knew what we were doing, and so there was no risk. However, he did everything. He actually contracted HIV when it was called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency.
I never heard that.
Yes, that was before it was called AIDS, and and it was called gay cancer first, I think, in the news when it first broke out. And it wasn't a gay disease; it's never been a gay disease, but it did race through the gay community, and but he did everything alternative. He did drumming circles. He did wheatgrass shots. He did. He went to seminars, and he believes, and I do too, that that kept him alive. He's still alive today, and he's doing well, and he's wonderful, and become a good friend of mine over the years, and so, but that's not the story for everybody, as we know.
Sure.
And
but I think you're
like
right.
David and Michael, go ahead.
Being proactive is one of the best strategies you can have. It almost doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you are doing something with a goal in mind, and that kind of intentionality. If nothing else, it helps with stress. You don't feel as powerless and helpless. And stress, in my opinion, is where the problems really come in. So, like, if you can minimize that, you have a much better chance than if you're just spinning out of control.
And I was going to say, as far as that goes, reeling in your mind. So whether it's a drumming circle or like for you, it was, maybe an experimental type of drug that you were trying. The mind is where the battleground is for the body healing as well. When the mind goes south, the body follows. So I think it's good that he was trying anything and everything to get his mind wrangled in, because that's where it'll get you at.
Well,
I used to joke that the drag was initially my attempt to confuse the HIV into remission.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Perfect.
We made a short film first, and it was just about the Vera sphere, mostly, and it's called Vera Sphere, a Love Story in Costume. That was the first phase back in 2017, and then I knew we had a bigger story for a feature film. But in that, David says, he said, I never thought that I was going to die from AIDS, but I knew that it was going to mess up my life. He didn't use the word mess, but I don't know how we speak on this show. So, but he said, I knew that it was going to, mess up my life or change my life drastically. And of course it did, but it also, for our benefit later with the photographs that Michael has taken and the continuance of the Vera sphere, which has turned into like an iconic thing in San Francisco Pride, it gave them the opportunity to do that. They really made lemonade, out of the.
Love that.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I love that it was a progression of not even knowing what you're doing, just so that you could make the most of your life in the time that you had, that sparked this amazing Vera sphere, right?
And from Michael, like, it was a strategy to do something with the energy that he had on a limited basis that made him feel like who he was. And he's, I'm a little more moody and introspective. He's much more like joyful and seeking positivity. So, it was good for both of us because it helped us deal with this situation that was a lot of different things.
Yeah, wrangling your mind in the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
David, it's funny you mentioned the stress aspect. I work part-time in a cancer clinic, and most every female that contracts breast cancer has got a story of where they remember the cancer beginning from a stressful period, whether it's in a relationship change or a major move or shakeup. And even in that world, stress plays a huge factor. And many believe that stress, because we all carry the cancer cells within us naturally, that stress may be what flips the switch, so to speak, for it to become rabid. And it is the clinic I work in does both progressive and alternative treatments as well, with vitamins and supplements and IVs and such. So a lot of the people that come to us, like you said, are the last. We're the Hail Mary. So,
and I'd seen so many people who were miserably stressed because of the hopelessness of the situation, the lack of treatments, all of it. I mean, there was a very good reason to be miserably stressed, but I saw them just have terrible outcomes compared to people who could continue with their life on some level. And I'm an artist, so I was always doing that anyway. But for people who like worked at a bank or a company, it's really hard. It's like it took your identity away, and it was that amount of stress is really hard to like skate by and not have that impact your health some way, one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah, I've had patients tell me that when they were told they had a life-altering disease or cancer or something, that moment they will never forget. It was like a train hit them, and every feeling and emotion came over them all at once. And so, and it's very horrible to be going through that. And when you were saying the gay cancer, and I think GRID, I've never heard those. That's so discriminatory. I mean, that's.
Well, I heard the gay cancer.
That was Reagan America. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, I guess as a country we hadn't learned, but gosh, that's just wrong.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's just plain wrong. There's no way to look at that. In Washington, D.C., this is a weird story about me. There was a bar at the corner of 14th and K in D.C., and you could go in there and have drinks when you were way underage. So one of our friends used to take us over there, and I should have known by now. He's come out now as bi, but he took us over there, and it was a drag show. And I was like, what is this? And it was more of a theater musical type show performance. I was like, what is this? I've never seen this. So I felt lucky to have had that at such an early age, so.
You bring up a good thing, Sportcat. That
either one.
You bring up a good point. You say Washington, D.C., and one of something that the listening audience may not know is that very typically drag on the East Coast has been very different than the West Coast. And David and Michael, I think, really epitomized the fact that San Francisco is very counterculture and does a lot of underground theater and a lot of cutting edge stuff. Whereas I came out in Florida, and back when you could do that. And no, it was good back then. No, okay. Florida was great. It was like the three gay meccas were New York, San Francisco, and the Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Key West area. Oh, wow. And I was in that. Yeah, I was down there, and it was good. But drag was very serious. You needed to look as female as possible. At least that was the culture that I saw when I saw my drag shows. And you said very musical theater. Yeah, that was like. But in San Francisco, the Cockettes came out in 1969, and they were just sprinkling glitter in their beards. And they just tossed out a real different version of gender play, and it was fun.
Right.
Nice undercurrent of a kind of punk aesthetic underlying a lot of stuff. We had all this political you know, it was this political center for AIDS, you know, once it was in the mid 90s. And it was like the model city for that. But when I started doing our costume stuff, most of the other people who were doing drag then, it was like really punk. You know, they really had no rules. They couldn't, you know, they didn't think they had enough time to care about other people's rules. So people were really expressing themselves. And it's, you know, that's, I think people associate that with San Francisco, and it's a very vibrant aspect of the city that's, you know, it's a little more uncertain these days than it's been in the past, where we always
Right.
You talked about Key West. I think they still have a festival down there, Festival of Lights or festival.
Well, Key West has turned pretty homogenous. It's become very vanilla. It used to be really cutting edge, you know, and that history goes back to, you know, Hemingway. And I actually worked for a drug dealer in his restaurant, and I was a bartender. And Truman Capote, Tennessee Williams, and Fannie Flagg were regulars at the Pigeon House Patio in Key West.
That's great.
Fannie Flagg from Hollywood Squares. I mean, she had, you know, she was a writer, and she was, you know, like maybe an actress. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wrote Fried Green Tomatoes, the film. She wrote that.
Right.
That book that the film was made on.
Yeah.
But so it was a real, you know, it was a real bohemian type of atmosphere in Key West. And, you know, the commercial aspect moved in, you know, and I think there's a Marriott and a Hyatt, you know, and I'm sure 42 Starbucks on a 2x2 mile island, and, you know, all that. But it didn't used to be that way. It used to be really a unique place, kind of like New Orleans used to be. If you've been to New Orleans since Katrina, it looks like, you know, Disney Orleans. And but it did, you know, I lived in New Orleans. One season I went down there and opened a restaurant with a group of people, and this was in the 1980s, and it was fun, and it was really trashy, and it was gritty and seedy and wonderful. And, you know, but nowadays it's kind of like a living museum, and, you know, you can see a guy on a cart playing the piano, and it's, you know, it's kind of New Orleans ride. But and that's how Key West used to be, and it's not quite that anymore. I don't know any place in this country. I also lived in New York City around the same time David did, in the late 80s, and that was a very different time in New York City, before Rudy Giuliani like removed all of the homeless people and the you know, the crime. He just took it all to Pennsylvania and brought, you know, Disney to Broadway. And, you know, it had its good and bad points to that. But San Francisco, you know, we're in a real transition period in this city. And it's a difficult place to visit currently. But still, it's still San Francisco. You know, you can still come and see the Veras Fair every year.
You know, and we always see the things that don't work in sharpest relief, and it's hard to remember and be grateful for the things that do work. So I think the Bay Area still has that going for it. It's got, you know, it's got a real aesthetic of making the world a better place. There's just like all these other, you know, things pulling in other directions at the same time. But all those people, a lot of those people are still here. They're just, it's just not about us that much right now. It's about something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future.
The most documentaries in the world get made in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought about that. That's right.
And even me, a little girl here in Ohio, I always knew that San Francisco was where it was at. If you wanted true freedom of speech and what you wanted to get out to the world, San Francisco was the place you could start.
And Berkeley and Oakland. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the.
It's been that for me. When I was in New York, I never wanted to do drag. It was very kind of competitive. Those girls were really serious, and it was high stakes. And I'm like, high stakes over what? I didn't get it.
Right.
But when I moved out here, Michael, he knew a lot of theater people and drag queens and whatever, and it was just a completely different experience for me. And that's when I started thinking of making these costumes just to sort of amuse him. And I'm a big comic book collector, so Mrs. Vera sort of looks like she's ready to go fight some crime, maybe. It's like or be a supervillain. I don't know, whatever people want to read into it. So it was like that. I found like a lot of expression there that I never would have gotten to without this weird free for all kind of all embracing creative atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I like how you brought up too earlier about where, Mrs. Vera is this one character, and then you're this other person who, it's kind of hard to be Mrs. Vera like that. And, that's what it's a good place to put all that into. But when you come back to it, you're still you. So you have to learn how to meld the two together in some kind of way, which changes you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not her, but in a way, she's the best version of me that I can imagine.
There you go. Yeah.
Cool.
Right. Love that.
Keep it inspirational that way. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for setting the example.
If you ask anybody in the Verasphere, about Mrs. Vera, she's all their drag mom. Everybody, she's my drag mother. She's my drag mother. So, I don't know that David set out to
I never
get
taught them a single thing.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so beautiful, by the way.
Like,
It's so natural.
Like, no, I know I won't. You won't like it.
Right.
Well, you have my vote to put you in the Marvel universe. I think that would be great. So.
Yeah.
Robert, have you ever been to Gatlinburg by chance, Tennessee?
No.
Okay, well, you probably don't understand the reference, but when I grew up visiting Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg used to be this little, you go through the mom and pop shops, the tourist Now it's Ripley's, Hard Rock Cafe, the hotels and stuff. And when I went with my friend last year to Key West, that's exactly what I told her when we got there. I said, this is like, Key West is like Gatlinburg. This isn't what I've read, what I thought. So yeah, you're right. They have done that. I like that observation.
Yeah, it's been gentrified for sure. And, for public appeal, if we can make this money on the queers, let's get everybody here to feel queer, And there's that's a good aspect because there still is a strong queer community in Florida, and they're working hard against the powers that want to, squash them, because Florida used to be a place of freedom and it's not as much anymore, but there's still a big thriving community. And, go to Key West and meet some queer people and go to some, iconic places, because it's beautiful and it's fun.
If I could move there, I would, but cost of living, oh my gosh. So. And you're on the right radio station. Let me get that plug in now. Yerg's Radio is live 365. Get the app, download it. You're actually on the right radio station for that. Ross is a very strong advocate, and he is in Florida, and he is very vocal and active in that community. So, yeah, so you're on the right station. Yeah. Ross is a big
fight the good fight, Ross.
He's kind of like the David Letterman of the gay community on the radio. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice.
Fight for Grapes of Wrath to stay in the school library, Ross. Please.
Yeah.
But don't tell him he thinks he's Howard Stern. So
Yeah.
He could have. Yeah, I love Howard Stern. Right.
Yeah, he's
back
great.
in the day.
Back in the day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he had Dolly Parton on this week, so
did
we all talk about Dolly. Yeah, he had her on this week. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like, Dolly Parton's doing Howard Stern. Holy crap!
Right.
Wow.
I got to see her in
World is a changer.
concert. Yeah, I got to see her, and that was a treat.
I'll bet.
We're working on a special in it'll probably be in February. She has she's in a series of comic books called Female Force, and they just did a volume 2 on her. We're going to have the artists and some of the people that actually worked interviewing her and things coming up with the idea of the whole comic book genre of that, but specifically the Dolly Parton episodes or book. So.
Wow, the Dolly Parton stories go far. I did really good at the Dolly Parton slot machine in Vegas. That was my favorite. Yeah. When you win a little Dolly, there is, and I didn't know that. Yeah, it pays out. I loved it.
That's good. Yeah.
It better pay out.
I like it.
Well, you want to keep there. Yeah. It's a good one, and it's fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Dolly's everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She is. She really is. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who knew?
I know. Yeah.
I think Jolene, that wasn't very rock, but.
No.
Well,
depends on who you ask, right?
Well, and if you hear the Jack White version of it, that's good. Yeah, the White Stripes, Jack White.
I haven't heard that.
That's really good.
David, who is your artist? Who is who inspired you the most in your artwork?
Oh, that's a good question. I was a painter before I, developed the Mrs. Vera as a character. And as a painter, Philip Guston was always like really, really, really important to me. But for the drag, I think the more obvious starting point are people like Lee Bowery. I love Justin Bond. I think he's amazing. There was an artist out here, a drag queen named Jerome Kaja, who was a painter as well. And he really embodied what it was like to be San Francisco in the 90s. I was pretty young when I moved here. So he was very influential on me. I like a lot of different stuff, but I'm so weird. Like these days, I don't actually look at a lot of other people's stuff. I'm so in my head, and I always have been. So I'll take the influences wherever they'll come from. And certain comics are one of the big influences on me, to be sure.
Awesome. Robert, how about you for your directing and producing skills? Who have you been inspired by?
Oh my. Well, I mentored with a Sundance winning documentary filmmaker, and I love her first film. It's called Dig. Her name is Andi Timoner, and her first film was about 2 rock bands. And you should check out Dig if you've never seen it. It's what changed my view on documentary. She went out and lived the experience, and I kind of did the same thing with David and Michael. I spent a lot of time with them, as they did their art, and so I love that style of documentary filmmaking. And there's another, speaking of like paranormal, if you've ever seen American Scare, I think that's what it's called. Michael Stevenson makes great films, and he made a film called Best Worst Movie, and it's about Troll 2, which is, deemed one of the worst horror films ever made.
Yeah.
And he takes you behind the scenes of filming that, and you meet the actual people in it. And they've become cult heroes because the movie is so bad. And he's a gay man that makes great films. He did American Scare, and it's about a town either in Michigan or Ohio, somewhere over there in the upper Midwest, that competes with their haunted houses on this street, and it's a delightful film. So I love his films. And if you've ever seen the one about the Donkey Kong competition called King of Kong, that's one of my favorite films. But I also like really controversial, big budget films that bring out important topics, like Going Clear by Alex Gibney on HBO about Scientology, or The Smartest Man in the Room, Exxon. he kind of exposed that atrocity of the oil spills and things like that. So I love stuff like that, and I loved Cartel Land. If you ever saw Cartel Land, that's a great documentary. So those are the documentary films that have inspired me. There's also little tiny, films, and I think of ours as small stories that have big themes. And we do personal stories that talk about important issues. But yeah, there's a lot of great more documentary content being made right now than any time in history. So just about anything you want to see, you can start with YouTube. And then if you want to see it made well, then, go to your favorite platform. And there is some good stuff on YouTube that, gets shown. But check out the Unabridged. You forgot the Unabridged part. And the reason we called it Unabridged Mrs. Vera's Daybook was because that was the final version. It was originally just called Mrs. Vera's Daybook during COVID. And I thought, well, what can we call it to differentiate? And my cinematographer, Rudy, says, how about the Unabridged Mrs. Vera's Daybook? And we present it as a book, a chapter after chapter, storytelling type of device in it. So it is a bit of a book story. Yeah.
Right.
And we tell you what people think the Daybook is. And you can take away from that anything you want, because a lot can be I think it's personal how you react to the Daybook and the Veras, which came from the Daybook. So it's all explained. Just see the film.
If people aren't responding to your art, your art's not interesting enough. So it's like, I don't really care what people's response is. I'm just delighted that they have one. And I think the art world is an odd thing that and we really just keep that to the side. It's not really a big part of our life, despite it being our identities, because we get such a good response from people just in real time outside of gallery and museum settings. It's wonderful. It's
Right.
But tell them you do have a museum setting coming up. The Haight Street Art Center, right?
Yeah,
the
we do have a
photographs
show.
and the costumes.
We really haven't been trying to have shows, but we've got two nice ones up right now. One at Sonoma State, and this one opening on Thursday here in San Francisco at the Haight Street Art Center. So and they're it looks great. So it's always wonderful to get the work out again. The photos are really my favorite part of the whole work.
Yeah.
Most people prefer the parade, but for me, it's like, I made these crazy outfits as props for, two-dimensional photos. So for me, that's where it all comes together in the most psychologically complex way. But, I learned to just really have fun and enjoy being in the moment as Mrs. Vera in the Verasphere, because that's what people really respond to. And it's, it's great. Any artist should be so lucky as to have that enthusiastic a response to what they've done. It's a real blessing.
Yeah, I want a Verasphere.
You should. Yeah. Just come out. They'll dress you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's wonderful. My husband
did a lot
it.
Of fun.
Yeah, my husband did it, and he was hooked. He's like, "Are we going to do this again next year?"
Right.
And,
we're getting older, so we have to think about like we can't just continually make it more monumental and huge. We just don't have the energy. But some of the other people in the group have really stepped up and have begun to lead workshops on their own, and it's like they've got the bug. It's like they're
right.
We're leading it, or new people are inventing it. I think that it's just such an encouraging creativity kind of thing, and I just think it's hard to find those things these days.
Yeah, and it's so freeing for the people who take advantage of it. I mean, I just feel like it would be such a weight lifted off to get to go really be like intense. This whoever you want to be this time. I love
And
that about
even
it.
aspects of the parade, like our parade here is pretty political. People are always complaining about something, or they're mad about,
Right.
it's very, very contentious.
Yeah.
And our appearance in it is just sort of like a brief reset where
Right.
it's just not about that, and it's like if people in our group want to have a sign protesting something, that's great, but the group itself is just, we're just there to make the parade look like a parade and not
Right.
like angry press meeting. It's,
Yeah.
it's
Sneaky love.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
people really respond to it. They want both.
Yeah.
It's like
They
you have
need it.
you have to make the parade what you want the parade to be, and that's up to the person being in it. But being in it is a great experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know San Francisco's been in the news with the presidential visits and the international dignitaries coming in, and I saw in the news that the local people were complaining because they come in, they just wipe all the homelessness out, and they just sweep that Disney-esque look right in.
Yep.
So it's like amazing how they do that.
Yes, they do. Yeah, we're in the middle of APEC right now. At that giant conference with the dignitaries and the president, and yeah, and they do that, and they make our lives difficult for those of us who drive a car and all kinds of things like that. And so, I live at north of San Francisco, so I just don't go into the city during this period.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I love that you have workshops though. I think that's really cool that you guys are spreading it so far. Love that.
It feels really good too to see people who, like, a lot of people don't think they're creative. They don't think they can make something, and then they find out very quickly that they can. And I love offering that to people because I'm always going to be making stuff myself, but for them it's, you sort of have to give them permission to express themselves and just go with it, and they do.
Well, what also I got to experience was how meticulous and how much stuff David and Michael have had for these workshops. I mean, you've got a selection of things, bubbles and beads and bangles and popcorn bags and and plastic spoons and cups and
we just
the most colorful items. And we got a little section.
Go to dollar stores and thrift stores when we first met, because again, that was something Michael could do in an afternoon that he felt good. So we would go to all these different stores, and if you find them weird bag of stuff for $1, we would get it. And like, I still have some of that stuff, and I still have an idea for using it, but the workshops are perfect in that it can all get used that way. And now we don't find the stuff, so it's it's always a changing supply chain of things that are on their way out, and that's what we like to work with most.
Well, and I love the repurposing aspect of all that too. I think that's really important in costume design. I love that aspect comes into play where it's anything you want to repurpose, you can repurpose for that purpose. So,
and I like to think of your sphere as sort of if it's in one of our costumes, it's not in the Pacific Gyre trash island. We're sort of keeping it out of the ocean for as long as we can continue to wear it.
Right.
Well, David, your story is inspiring enough, but I'm sure having been out and doing this for so long, you've probably heard other stories that who has inspired you with their story, or if you can tell or share one.
Gosh.
See, I do ask tough questions.
I'm a very empathic person, so that's kind of the filter that I interact with other people through. I don't know that I have an answer for that question, oddly enough, but I'll get to think on it.
Okay.
How about everybody? Everybody who's doing this with you is your inspiration every time.
And you can. I think you can humbly wear the title of star. So I know you don't like to. Robert, you're gonna have to encourage him to wear that. So
They're very
I
humble.
accept it graciously, but I'm not really a performer at heart. What we do is performative, but especially for drag, it's like we don't get on stage. I don't sing. I'm not promoting events. It's an odd, lack of some of the things that people associate most with drag. Not trying to be sexy, not trying to be, not anything except whatever this weird character ends up being.
But I think that's so important though in the whole thing, because everybody does have this concept of what drag is, and drag can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be those things that's a performance. It can be an expression.
You got it. It's about making up your own rules because you don't like the rules that are out there, and you don't like the. So you're that's what it's.
Love it. So important, that aspect, what you just said, so important. There's a lot of people who aren't performers. There's a lot of people who wouldn't even take part in it if it had to be a performance. So what you do is so important. I just want you to know that I really feel like that in my heart.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. You too, Robert. Thank you.
Oh, well.
Yes, very much.
I just get to document. That's a joy for me. Thank you. If you got a great subject, then it inspires you to, make them look as good as possible. It's not hard. They already look good.
Well, David, how about this? Can you tell me Marvel or DC, and who's your favorite superhero?
Oh, I'm a Marvel person. There's plenty of stuff at DC that I like, but that's I grew up with Marvel in the mid 70s. I came to it. I was around 14 before I had my first comic, so a little later than most people. But I really loved that era because there were all these really liberal-minded people who were making up their own rules for the comics. So it's I totally related to the exploration of politics and comics, to the extent that it could be done in that time frame. There's some great DC stuff, but I don't find their world as complex or as interesting, and I definitely don't find their movies as deep. But I
agree.
But good for them anyway. It's like they're, everyone should tell the stories they want to tell. But for me, Marvel has a kind of nuance to it, and the interconnectedness that I think everybody kind of loves that about it.
I often think, how in the heck did they start this story that they knew was going to end 10, 20 years down the road, and then have all the little detours off of it? That just always fascinates me, how the mind would even work on that.
Yeah, it's a monumental undertaking. I mean, the comic thing, is done in like these little tiny bits by different artists, but the movies require like this really long-term vision, and so much money is at stake. It's astounding to me that they can do such a good job, considering all the moving parts in a movie and in building movies over time. I think they do sort of recapitulate what's so great about the comic book world. And that's no small feat. And I don't think DC's as good at it. It's just not as, the things don't connect up for me.
Yeah, they're more like, I don't even want to call them chapters. I guess just a short novel to me is the way I look at them. They're decent. It's like the Transformers with Michael Bay. He likes to blow things up. I'm all for that. So, so you didn't get to do that in your movie, Robert. You're gonna have to find one where you get to blow things up. So,
I'm still here.
I don't mind. Yeah, well, stay tuned. I got a story that I'm going to do a shoot next weekend, and it's pretty explosive. not in the
Cool.
Michael Bay way.
Well, Michael Bay way, you probably have to notify Homeland or something. So.
I'm sure. So
Yeah,
are we going to get to the paranormal?
Yeah, I was just about to get there. I was going to ask you, because we worried when the show started about, how are we going to talk for an hour? But you, David, you're a star. Robert, you made him the star. So we didn't have any problem doing it. So do either of you have any paranormal stories, seen Bigfoot or chased after anything that goes bump in the night?
Well, you'll be very disappointed in my lack of paranormal experiences. I'm not a very good Pisces that way. I'm a good Pisces in a lot of ways, but I'm really much of a mystic side. But I'm also I'm happy to be proved wrong on anything. It's like I actually love being wrong, if I can be. Yeah, in a way, Mrs. Vera is sort of my attempt to bring the paranormal into my life, and as opposed from this more kind of scientific, analytical point of view. Art is about what can't be explained. So there is.
I like that.
But I just have not had those experiences.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. You may tomorrow. You may. You said you're an empath, so you may.
You might.
Maybe I just didn't realize I had them.
And I was going to say that you just don't realize that you have. You have to kind of tune into it. Maybe that would help.
So, Robert, how about you? You got anything to bump in the night with you?
Well, one thing that, to spin off of what David was talking about, Michael and David live right in the heart of San Francisco. So I think it's a paranormal experience every time I go and visit them. It is, it's all going on around them, and not 24 hours a day and not 7 days a week. But, if you're going to see something strange, it's likely to happen near where they live. Just on the street, there's a festival or a performance or a group or, something's going on. So it's pretty otherworldly. He doesn't realize it because he's lived there for a long time, but
he's immersed in it.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And when I go visit, I'm like, oh my God, I had another otherworldly experience. But what I was thinking about, since we're talking about drag and since we're talking about performance and paranormal and everything, for anybody, I think San Francisco might be the only place that has a full-blown haunted experience in a historic landmark that is hosted by a drag queen who specializes in horror, and it's called the Terror Vault. And it's here in San Francisco, and you can really get your paranormal on there. They have about 120 actors that are involved. It's the entire month of October, and it's themed every year. And this year was called The Initiation, and it was all about like a death cult. And so you go through this experience with experiments and mind control and costumes, and you could have the experience of wearing a certain type of necklace where people are allowed to touch you and jump out and make you part of the show. And so Peaches Christ, I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
There's so much drag and queerness in it that it's, in a way, it's sort of like the horror version of Beach Blanket Babylon.
Yeah.
You can really get an experience that's San Francisco only, thanks to the vision of Peaches and his partners in it. They just do an amazing job. He's an amazing producer. It's a really choice thing to experience if one can swing it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and if you go to the Terror Vault, I just love the fact that Joshua Gurnell's drag name, who created the Terror Vault, is Peaches Christ. So yeah,
nice.
Come see Peaches. Come to San Francisco in October, and it's original California Mint building. So it's this big structure with columns out front from the from days past, the turn of last century or mid-century. I don't know when the Mint came about, but it's an old structure.
And they work there year round, and he says that it is definitely haunted. That place, like, there's odd things happening all the time. That's
I might need you to get me in touch with him. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, you'd love Joshua. Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Well,
a lot of
if
fun.
you could get me in touch with him, I'd like to have him on the show. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a blast. Yeah, he's a blast. Right. We'll work it through Annie.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to do two things here real quick because I'm sure you guys want to go. First off, where can everybody find you? And I'm going to bring Ross in because he hasn't had the opportunity to ask any questions. And I know he probably has some, or may have some, I shouldn't say. So I'm going to bring him in too. But tell us where you all are, what's going on, where we can find you, stuff like that.
Well, for us, really, Facebook is the Verosphere group page is the best place to check in on what we're doing. But we don't have a huge social media presence. Michael has a little bit more for his photography and stuff like that. But we're really, like I said before, we're not really promoting stuff. So it just sort of remains a little mystery box for a lot of people as to what we're doing and why. But you can definitely see what that is if you're still on Facebook.
And if you want to see the film, you can see it on Prime. You can see it on Vudu, Fandango, Walmart. They are all the same thing. And you can see it on YouTube for rent. You can see it on Vimeo for rent. You can see it on iTunes and Apple TV. And we're in 162 English-speaking territories globally. So we're available for rent or download, and our trailer's for free. Check us out on YouTube and see the trailer for free. It's worthy of a view. If you're interested in renting it, preview it first. So yeah, we're out there.
You haven't been banned anywhere yet, have you? That's like the tell-all sign. Hey, you've made
it. We've had such positive responses to it that I'm kind of interested to see, like, if we ever do get picked up by the right-wing thing as something to get upset about. But it's a kind of a hard film to really pick a bone with. It's just it's just like hey, like those people should have died from AIDS earlier. What are you gonna what can you really say about it? It's such an upbeat look at tough times.
Our distributor calls it the happiest AIDS film you can see. So
the Moms for Liberty guys just said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, right.
I helped I'm Moms for Liberty candidate in my hometown not get elected to the school board.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
that's good. So, Ross, did you have any questions or anything you? Because
sorry, I've been hacking away at emails and all kinds of other. We're looking for a new host for the station. Internet radio is kind of like podcasting, in that you have a host and they distribute it, and you distribute it to other, like TuneIn and Apple Music and things like that. And I'm here tonight because they don't have the technology to have multiple users on their platform. So Glenn, who's very talented and capable, could be doing all of this by himself without me sitting here babysitting. And I've got to do it twice a week with him, 5 nights a week for myself and the whole other crew. And I want to sit back and listen to a show, not have to help actually do it. And I got to do that because that's managing the station does. And so I'm spending my evening finding another host.
Okay.
Well, good luck.
You've got it recorded. We've got it recorded here. So
yeah,
I edit this to put it on the station so that for later playback. So I will definitely hear you soon enough.
Oh, good. So we're going to be later playback?
Correct. Yes. I'm redoing the schedule now. It was an automated. It was still will be mostly an automated system of replaying everybody's podcasts, and then some of the folks like Glenn have a live show as well. He actually has two. From there, it was supposed to be a random automated system, and it is kind of sorta. But I just have too much of a suspicion that the entire library is not being played. So what I'm going to do is create a playlist for Glenn for this show for every night of the week that this show is in repeat. A different playlist every night.
Cool.
And I'm going to change them up, every 2 weeks or so that we do go through the entire library. And what that's going to do is in his 2-hour spot, he's actually going to have 4 playlists. One is the first half of the show. One is the first quarter of the show. Then the second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. That'll allow for also automatic playlists of commercials and station IDs and plugs for the movie, things of that nature.
Yeah, we'll definitely get the plug in there for the movie as well. Warren was asking the name of the film is Mrs. Vera Daybook. And Ross, I told them you may have been tuned out that you were kind of the voice down in Florida and speaking for the community. And so Robert told me that it didn't used to be that way. I wasn't aware of that. So
there's a lot of transition happening. I mean, it's definitely a red state, but it's got a shade of purple to it. Tampa and Clearwater and St. Pete, Gulfport is like Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, or
good.
What's the
P-Town?
That's the one. Yeah. I didn't even have to like the Gaydar, going back and forth.
Yeah.
Gulfport's very much like that, and St. Pete and parts of Tampa as well. But even just like, for example, it was just discovered today that the so-called sources for Rudy Giuliani that were prosecuting and trying to screw over Biden are Russian spies.
wow.
There you go. So
Wow.
now
that
we
goes
know
way back.
Now we know a little bit more about 2016.
And if they're giving him $10 to find what he can find, like how much else have they spent? Like in the obvious places.
They were given $10 million, the equivalent of $10 million, to discredit the Ukraine, so that the U.S. and other Western allies would not support them during the attack.
It's like the worst play ever. It's like,
where do they come up with this money? Gosh, it could go to such better things.
God.
Yeah. So point being, my next door neighbors are very red. I think they're kind of former Trump supporters, but they're, Florida locals, and they're actually some of my best friends. They're very, very welcoming with me and very accepting. And I really think that they're starting to see through the bullshit. They're not the DeSantis supporters anymore. When I first moved years ago, they were DeSantis supporters. They don't like him already. And I think they're starting to see through Trump's bullshit.
You can get them out of the cult. It's like there's hope, but that's the hard part is reaching them. But it's great to hear that people are reaching their limits on this, because we just keep wondering what it's going to take. And I think it's going to, that's where the battleground is in the red states. It's not in the blue states. It's like the people that are willing to live there. And it's really what will really change it will be what comes from our straight allies, because, they don't care
100%.
what people think. They could care less what any of my positions are. But, if you're a straight man using that privilege on behalf of gay people, thank you and God bless. It's like, because that's where the significant change is going to come from.
Yeah, when Black Lives Matter became a thing, I think I was in LA at the time, and I went to one of the local heads of it and said, what can we do to help you with this? She looked at me and said, we don't need your help and we don't want it. We got this by ourselves. And I said, do you know who I am? I'm a gay man who can marry my boyfriend now because of a black straight man and his crazy vice president.
And also because our mayor here in San Francisco, Gavin Newsom.
Absolutely.
Gavin Newsom grabbed me by the ass.
What?
Yep.
I love Gavin.
He's a cool guy. I like him. I know a friend of his who was in his office when he was the mayor, and it was 2006 New Year's Eve into 2007, which would make the parties 007. So everybody was having a James Bond party, and I even had a Omega watch that he wore in the Die Another Day movie, whole 9 yards. So I'm in a tuxedo for New Year's Eve, and she's my Bond girl, and she introduces me to him because he's a guest bartender at some party, and she said, he says, hey, I heard about you. Thanks for kind of smack me in the ass. So that was my, that was my handshake with Gavin Newsom.
Jealous.
He got he's a good looking guy.
Here first.
Gavin's a paranormal experience to be in the same room with. I don't believe in people having natural charisma typically, but I've been in the same room with Gavin before, and it's there. You feel it. Yeah. You feel it being around him. He is a force, and I think a force for good. And I hope he's our president someday.
Yeah, I think he's next, or Pete
or Mayor Pete. Yeah. I love that
easily.
I gotta take a pass on him because of the things he's done in DOT for EMS. So, but that's another side story.
Well, I mean, he when he was the mayor of what was it, Indiana or South Bend, right? Was it South Bend?
Indiana.
He had a housing project that was under budget and on time, and now it's like the neighborhood to live in. Trump can't say that.
That's great.
I'm going to sign off, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I know we kept you over than we were longer than we wanted to, but it was
great. Told us you would, and we're so pleased. Really,
it was actually trying to dig up a photo and talk at the same time. Bill Clinton is another one that is, can go into a room full of Republicans and make friends.
Robert, David, if you want to tell everybody about us, we're still just a growing little show. Ross is very humble. He's getting us places we never would have been before, and we're so proud of him.
And a growing station.
In a growing station. So anytime you all want to come back, Saturday our show is called The Misfits. It's kind of like Mrs. Vera, except we all have a drink and we all just, whatever's on our mind, we have one topic. I think this topic is food and sex. So
at the same time,
yes,
your choice. Your choice. But if you want to tune us in, Paranormal Guys on. Good Lord, Ross, how many screens you got?
That's a good one.
We're Saturday nights at 9. You're more than welcome to hop in to chat, or if you want to come on and just BS with us, that's what we do. It's 2 hours of just us having fun, and the Misfits is kind of like the Veras first. So,
well, thank you for having a platform to bring us on and to talk about cool things. Y'all are just delightful people, and Ross, thank you for being behind the scenes. Yep. And thank you for our lovely person. I can't read her name anymore because the screen's so tiny.
Ohio
and Dina. Dina,
Oh.
I'm a fellow vapor, so I was just sitting there going, "Oh, I wish I was hitting my vape." And,
Well, you could have done it.
well, I just don't do it in my office. I go outside.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry I had to do it in front of you.
I can't get my crack in. I'm going to have to wait another 30 minutes.
And just from me to David and Robert, I just have to tell you guys, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for this community of people that need you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for making us feel so welcome. And
Yeah.
Hey,
I was worried. What are we going to talk about?
Staying awake.
we got some celebrities. We got some stars here. So, no, we're great. We're happy.
And it wasn't because of you guys.
Heroes. Seriously.
All right.
Heroes.
We'll see you all again.
Great to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Guys,
guys.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
That was great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nose is itching. I always feel
That was
so bad.
so good.
No,
Oh
they're
my
full of
god.
them.
You know, everybody was like, how are you going to pull a paranormal show off in this community? And I'm like, it's not about that. It's about just people. Yeah.
Well, and you know, for me, San Francisco, like I said, it was always a place I knew that if you really wanted to be yourself, you could go, but it always had a paranormal backstory.
Oh my gosh.
Always.
I say I haven't been there. I was there as a child, and I can remember the bridge and the zoo. That's about really all I remember as a child when I went there. So, but
Right.
it was much different. I was, 70s, so.
Right?
Yeah.
We were all there.
Yeah. Ross, I'm going to tuck you back unless you want to stay and talk for a while. I know you're always busy, so.
Yeah, I still got more work to do. Sorry, I looked half asleep, but I was taken away.
Shut up.
You were great, Ross.
I don't even want to
You
hear
always
half
are.
asleep. I was like, my eyes were closed through half this show, and I feel so rude.
Gina, you just got to take a nap right before, like I did.
I took an unintentional one.
I did about 3 or 4.
I have been going all day today and yesterday.
Yeah, I've been doing it too.
Yeah.
Since about 6:45 this morning.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
I took 2 naps and I got up at the same time.
Zero naps though.
I
Didn't make that out
either.
A dog reminded me it was 7 o'clock. All right, Ross, I'm gonna hide you. If you need something, just holler at me. We got about another half hour, so we'll be good.
Okay.
I would say we won't get in trouble, but who knows? We may. So that was a great show. You know,
It really was.
There was, in my opinion, nothing controversial about it. Nothing marginal. It's just telling human stories, and so I enjoyed it. I forgot. I wanted to ask if Mrs. Vera had a super power, what it would be. So I wanted to ask that, but I forgot.
Yeah, darn it.
Oh. I think we already know.
That would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Spreading joy and happiness. It's
I love
just
the
the superpower of uniting people on a level that never was even imagined by that person. I love that story.
Yeah. And especially in what was some consider it was almost a medieval time for the community, you know, with that's and I had never heard that gay cancer, or you call it GRID.
No, I heard gay cancer.
That was before.
Hey, Joy.
Before they called it AIDS, I think.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah.
That was. Well, I remember that's what I first heard was gay cancer.
Yeah.
That's what everybody was like, oh my God, it's gay cancer. What is that even? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was pretty, you know, that's the thing about it. It touched all of us in all of our separate locations around the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There was no part of the world that it left untouched. It was something that you were either, when it first came out, you were either terrified of it or you were like, yeah, okay, it's another day.
Well, and I think everybody was kind of terrified of it at first because you didn't know if you could get, contracted by kissing somebody.
Right.
Mhm.
There was lots of questions.
What's that Eddie Murphy joke? I won't repeat it, but give a little kiss, got home with that AIDS on your lips. So
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah. So Nikki, what have you been up to the past week? I haven't talked to you much. I know you're on a special duty assignment. So
Yeah, I'm house sitting for my son. He's in the Bahamas.
Oh,
He
man.
actually arrived at the Bahamas yesterday, so I haven't heard from him since then. The last pictures he sent me was a stormy sea. So, but I can track him. I know he's in the Bahamas now. So,
That's good.
is he on a
I'm puppy
cruise?
sitting. Yeah, he went on a cruise. Yep, they drove to Florida, and then from Florida went on the cruise.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
And I'm puppy sitting, so an untrained puppy. So it's been pretty
nice.
It's your grand puppy, I guess.
Yes, that's my grandpup.
I have
And
a
it's been
grandpuppy
nice.
too.
Yeah, it's been
Grand
nice. But I've
dog, I guess.
taken more naps than I have in the past 3 years, so that's
Yeah.
been great.
And you get extra cuddles and kisses. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I can settle her down, sure.
yeah, I've got a hellhound just like that. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, she's great. I love her. She's a good learner, so we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Dina got to meet my hellhound tonight, and she probably
Yeah.
still has a piece of her on her. So
No, changed clothes, so I think I'm good. But well, she's on my jacket, so that's fine. That's okay.
she goes with everybody. She just
was
likes to spread her
beautiful.
hair, enjoy. She's my baby.
Aw.
I said, "Come here, Ginger," and she came and jumped right on my lap, and she's big. She's
Aw.
she sat up about right here.
She's a 60-pound lap dog.
Wow.
And she's got a tongue of an aardvark because she'll sneaky
Yes.
teach you in a second. So
She tried.
Perfect.
She tried very hard.
yep.
She was
Well, this
stealing my
puppy is-
breath.
This puppy is as tall as it could get up on the counters.
Yeah.
And so it's like shoulders and head all the way up to the counters. It's only
Yeah.
3 months.
Oh my
gosh.
So,
gosh.
the whole time you have to what are you doing? Where are you? Oh my God. Are
Yeah.
you doing that? What are you doing?
It's like a 2-year-old.
It's worse. It's
Yeah.
worse. It's worse.
Keep
The
you on
only
your
good
toes
part
there,
is-
Grandma.
Right. Only good part is you can put them in the cage when they act real bad. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Wait, you couldn't do that to your kids? You've never done it to your kids? Wait a minute.
No.
Like a
No.
cage.
Oh, yeah, that's what I called it. So, yeah. It didn't involve duct tape or anything.
No. We didn't hang them on a hook by their underwear or nothing
No.
like that. No.
I was in the medical field. They all needed Benadryl. So,
Yeah.
You're bad.
nah. No. In fact, somebody asked me to come on a podcast talking about my experience as a father and teaching basically tough love. And I was like,
Oh no.
what are you talking about? The kids are the ones that beat me up. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. So true. Where do we be without them?
yeah, Lord, I'm going to Vermont soon to see my son. I'm excited and looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Kind of concerned about the snow, but I've got my mobile set up so we can still go live and do things. So
That's good.
Nice.
yeah, and I think it even sounds pretty much like I'm at home. So I like it.
It
So
sounds good.
good.
Nice.
I'll play this back 100 times, second guessing every decision I
No,
made.
you
So.
won't. You'll be fine. The lighting looks good. I got it set up for you. We're awesome.
She did.
Oh,
She
you did a nice job, Tina.
Thank you.
She was an extra set of hands because I was trying to lean over it and move the thing, and then I'd lean back and do it. I'm like, God Almighty, this is. She's like, sit still, fat boy. I was like, okay.
Stop moving around. Stop squirming.
Oh,
She
that's how you
slapped
know
me
you're
on-
loved.
She slapped me on the back of the head a few times and said, "Stop that!" Like, my hands are right here. So
Poor Dina.
we had a good picture with. I met JT from our other show too tonight.
Yeah.
So put the kids under the playpen. Yeah, it
Good
can flip over.
suggestion, Wendell. Good suggestion. They make those gates for kids. They just don't have the top on them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He meant put the kids under the turn the
Yeah.
turn the playpen over and put the kids in there.
Right.
I used
Right.
to do that to my brother. Well, no, what I did was he was in the playpen, and I closed the sides down on him, so he'd be in like the triangle part.
Oh, you're so mean.
I was so mean to my brother.
I got
Is it-
I was
accused of
awful
being mean to
to
my
him.
brother, but
Huh?
I wasn't. I got accused of being mean to my brother. I just wanted him to come outside and play. He's like 9 months old, so I like drag him out the front door
Oh,
and he goes
yeah.
head first on the concrete in his walker,
Oh,
you know. It was
gosh.
bad. It was bad. I couldn't help it. I just wanted him to come out and play.
I wasn't intentionally mean to him. I just, well,
Sure.
maybe at first I probably was, but then I was just sneaky, I guess, with him, because I he always saved his money, and I always spent mine. So I would say, hey, let's get our money and put it together and then split it.
He was never good at math, I take it.
He fell for it until my mom caught me. She was like,
Clued him in.
yeah, clued him in. She's stealing your money. And I was like,
Right.
Mom, I'm
We're
not.
splitting the wealth.
We're just splitting our money.
Right.
And then he was like,
I'm
I'm not
innocent.
doing this anymore. And then in the back of the car, I kind of like just touch him, you know. And then he's like, Mom, Dina's touching me. And then I would like just touch him with one finger. Mom, Dina's touching me. And then I just like not touch him and just kind of like put my finger over towards him. Mom, tell her to stop. And then
There's energy coming off of that, Dina.
I know. And then all I'd have to do is look at him. Mom, Dina's looking at me.
Right. Anything to annoy.
That's great.
Finally, Mom would say, Dina, quit looking at your brother.
Yeah, that sounds like me. I used to get in trouble for listening in school, not talking.
But listening.
They're like, well, you're listening. And I'm like, how do you get in trouble for listening?
I know.
What? Right.
I was an only child. I never had to got to do these things. But then when I had my three,
Oh
holy
my
cow,
God.
I learned all those tricks.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Excuse me.
Dad,
Sorry.
Kyle's breathing on me.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can tell him to stop breathing?
Well, I did the ultimate to my little brother one time. You know how people like used to get you down and they'd act like they're gonna spit in your mouth and let it go down real far?
Oh, yeah.
I did that to him and it went in his mouth.
Oh, no.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble.
Gross.
And then one time I thought it would be funny to throw the cat on his back while he was on the floor with no shirt on.
Oh, no.
I just thought it would be hilarious because the cat will just land and he'll be like, what was that? No, the cat landed and yeah.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah. I always just wanted to play.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm going to play with you with this cat.
Well, and then it earned me the name the little devil child. And I'm like, wait, it's a halo. You just can't see the upper part. Not a horn. Not a horn. It was bad for me.
Damn,
That's
you were
great.
You were meaner than I was.
Me?
Hey,
No.
hey, I'm glad I didn't have any siblings. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You should be, truthfully. I learned that
Yeah.
lesson when I had a daughter, an older daughter. She's my oldest, and two younger boys.
Oh my gosh.
She used to tell them, I'm dying.
Oh no.
And act like she's dying. And like the boys would be like,
Yeah.
She's like, don't tell Mom. She'll be too sad. Like, oh my God. They finally
the
break and come in
drama.
and say, Jasmine's dying, Mom. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Then they get in trouble. Don't ever say that.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I got- Go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe I really am glad. I've never had these type of stories. So.
Right.
I got paid back when I had just one daughter, though. She was alien.
Your mom and dad gave you the curse. They said, "I hope you have a child just like you one
Mom
day."
did.
She's gonna be 10 times worse as you.
It's a true. That curse is true. I have
true.
put it on my daughter page. I was like,
actually,
oh,
yeah.
Mom said Katie was not as bad as I was, because she told me, she said, "You were not human until you turned 3." I was like,
what? That's bad.
I don't know what you were. You weren't human until you turned 3 years old. And I was like,
oh my god.
What?
Did she ever explain?
She just said I was awful.
You were a really bad 1-year-old, Dina?
Apparently.
Oh my gosh.
That takes some serious work, Dina.
I guess.
Right.
No, she just said I was really independent. I wouldn't let anybody do anything for me. I wouldn't let her tie my shoes. I wouldn't let her put my clothes on, because I would I'd do it myself.
The adamant 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And you're kind of still that way, so you won't let me dress you. So
I am like that still. I mean,
I was going to say, that's pretty fitting. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, she said I was that way. And but Katie, she was funny. She was mischievous. She wasn't mean, but I could not discipline that child because I would laugh, and I knew I couldn't let her see me laugh. So I would have to like turn my back to her and try to discipline her, and I was like, "Katie, stop!" And she knew I was laughing, but she was on my grandmother's table once, and she was getting close to the edge, and I said, "Honey," I said, "Katie, stop! You're going to fall off the edge." And she literally went to the end of the table, stuck one leg out, and shook her butt with that leg sticking off the edge of the table, on like standing on one leg and the other leg off. And I was like, "You shit, get off there."
Yeah, that's when my arm goes, snatch, let's go.
Oh gosh. I said,
"Get
your ass off that table." She was two, maybe, if that old. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna kill me." And then,
oh my gosh, I got one of myself.
Yes, and then once I we had to park in the side street at my house, because there were ball games. We lived down by Christenberry Elementary School, and the high school boys played baseball down there. So people parked in the streets on the sides. Somebody had parked in my driveway. Why, I don't know. I guess they thought nobody lived there. But anyway, I had to park outside on the street at my house. And I was getting groceries. I had groceries. So I sat her down. I said, behind me, I said, "Stay right here." Reached in to get groceries, got back up. She was about 20 yards running down the middle of the street. I was like, "Katie!" Dropped the groceries. At that time, I did not have a knee injury. So I'm like sprinting after her. And she's looking back at me laughing. And I'm like, "Come here right now." Scared the shit out of me.
I bet.
Oh my gosh. And by the time I caught up with her, I was like, "Don't ever do that again."
Right. I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
What is it? The famous saying, "I brought you into this world, I can take you out." I use that on my kids all the time. So,
Oh Lord.
yeah, my son, he called me up. At Harper's 3 now, and he's like, "Dad, how did you do it?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "How did you do it?" He says, "I have 1, and I want to kill him. I have to go hide." And he said, "You had 3," and I'm like, "A lot of alcohol, son." So,
Yeah.
Well, that's the best part to me is when they finally come back around full circle and they're like,
Yeah.
what do I do in this? Or how did you even do this? I love that part.
yep, but there's a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
Oh, my grandson Wyatt, holy cow, he's 100% boy. So I think if he could hang on to the ceiling fan while it's in motion, and he would do it. And Paige would be like, "Stop!"
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 100% boy. He's gonna end up being diving off of the deck or something, and Paige is gonna be like diving right behind him. So
Right. Sure,
hey, our regulars show up on the second hour. It's great. Welcome everybody.
Hey, Todd.
Todd, Token Muddle, yeah, and Brenda,
Hey.
she's got a show coming out soon too. So hey, yeah, we keep the podcast community going.
Yeah.
Nice.
She had bunk beds and like hundreds of stuffed animals. So she would like get all her stuffed double. Yeah, she had bunk beds. She'd throw all her stuffed animals in the middle of the floor, climb up the ladder of the bunk beds, and jump off into the pile of stuffed animals.
Oh my.
She was a daredevil. She climbed. Since she could crawl, she climbed. She was a ooh.
Paige was a little spider monkey. She could climb walls. I mean, you remember Dina, yeah.
Yeah.
And my son, he liked to make ropes out of things, sheets, towels, whatever, and see how far he could swing out.
Oh my Lord.
He didn't break anything, and he only got stitches once. So
how the hell do we keep him alive, Glenn?
I don't know. I don't know. And my wife is in the medical field, and anytime that something traumatic would go on, she would freak out. There's blood everywhere. I'm like, you work in surgery, for Christ's sake.
Well, yeah, one time my son comes in my room, right? It's the middle of the night, and his arm is literally just dangling.
Oh,
And
no.
I can't do anything. And I'm like, what happened? So I didn't find out what happened. He had a nursemaid elbow. So, you just take him in the emergency room, they like pop it back into place.
Yeah.
Well, it was maybe a few years later, I found out that my daughter actually pulled his arm out of socket and made him go to sleep afterwards.
Oh, no.
And wouldn't let him come tell me. And so he finally woke up in the middle of the night and came and told me, so I had to take him to the emergency room. Yeah, it was years.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, because I didn't have siblings, Glenn.
Yeah, they were playing softball, and one of Kyle's little girlfriends at the time decided to whack Kyle in the head because she thought the bat that was soft on the sides. And I was at work, so I missed this pleasure. There was blood. My mom was here. There's blood running down the wall that was in the floor, and the kids yelling, "We killed Kyle! We killed Kyle!"
Oh my gosh!
He hasn't liked baseball since. I can't understand that.
No, I'm glad blood wasn't involved. I don't think I could have handled that one. That would have been hard.
Oh Lord.
They're all still friends. So did he act like me? No, he was actually. I was a good kid. I never had a reason to act out, but
wait, hang on. Glenn didn't have any brothers or sisters, so he didn't have anybody to get in trouble with. But
it wasn't until the teenage years, but with all my not siblings, cohorts.
Yeah,
we had a neighbor. That was the thing. We had a neighborhood up north. It was I would say gang, but it was just a group of us, and we just all hung together.
Oh,
and it didn't matter who you were, but if somebody from outside came in, we're like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Or if they were like a different street over or something. So
yeah. Oh, that's the same. I mean, if somebody had made fun or hit my brother or hurt my brother. I could do
Right.
it. I could do it. Nobody else could do it. Even to this day, like one time at one of his concerts, this crazy guy, he said, "I want to be Russell. I want to be Russell." I wasn't going to say his last name, but I want to be him. I think I'm going to kill him.
What?
Yeah, I think I'm going to murder him. I said, "Motherfucker, you do. I will hunt your ass down, and I will kill you."
Right.
I said, "You will not see another light of day." He said, "I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding." I said, "Don't say that shit again." I mean, he's a guy that's been on drugs for a long time, and he's just not really all right in the head. And him and Rusty went to school together, and I was like, "No, you don't say shit that kind of crap, because he's out there."
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's a little more real.
That's saying something from coming from us. So.
yeah. And I mean, he said it like he was serious, and I'm just like, "No, you weirdo."
Right.
Well, you'll find now that you're out in public more, not only with this and with your brother, people just do stupid things.
No,
so.
this has been several years ago.
Well, guess
Yeah.
what? It's gonna get worse.
I don't care.
You just would not. You ought to see the emails and comments I get. So people are
Well,
nuts.
you're doing something right? When the crazy
Yeah.
people are attracted
Well,
to
it
you.
was what was it Ross told me? He said if they're talking about you, you're doing something right. So
Yeah.
he said they say they won't tune in, but they'll tune in just to see what you're going to say. Or
Yeah.
they tune in because they like you. He said either way, you got to listen. Okay, I'll take it. So
Yep.
Right.
Brenda, she is downstairs making dinner. So in case you were curious, so
Oh, yummy.
You have a
Yeah,
good
she-
one.
yeah, oh yeah.
Love
That's why I
that.
came to Knoxville. Of course, I do blame her. The last time I was here, I think I gained 60 pounds on chocolate chip cookies. So
Oh man.
they're my favorite, my crack,
My
my
address
weakness.
is it's like I'll take some of those.
Me too.
Well, I'll have enough to share, I'm sure. So I told her no cookies this trip. So
Oh dang.
Yeah. Never.
I think we're having cake. So yeah, I think we're having cake, and I think it's I think she picked up Chinese on the way home. So
Oh.
yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Cake
Nikki,
and cookies as well.
next week, it is next week, right? That we're going to do the second hour where you're going to go completely off the rails and do some stuff.
More portraits next week. That's exactly right. And I'll be submitting the email. If you guys follow on my Facebook page, then I'll have it up there where you guys can submit your photos to an email address that I put up there.
Cool.
Okay. Make sure to get it to Ross as well. And
Yeah.
we might want to make a audio commercial for him to run.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
So we,
That'd be good.
yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
I'll share it on my page too.
Awesome. Thank you.
We can do that. We can do that. Yeah, so I don't know if you saw it, but for the upcoming show, Reindeer Games with CBS Big Brother, I made just on my phone, just goofing off a little coming soon. And it's like 10 seconds. And it sounded professional. Even looked professional. I was like, hell, I made this. So,
Right.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, we should do that. I'm sure he wouldn't mind playing it at all. So
Awesome.
We have no rails, Todd. Nope.
I don't understand the rails reference. We're going off the rails. Is that what
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
We have
I don't know that.
zero rails.
Rails?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that we really have any. Ross, I mean, he just gives us free reign, and
Yeah.
you know me, I'm kind of like, whatever comes up comes out. So
Well, and I
You
think
know we have no rails. Huh?
That's really the best part to me. That's when you get, more followers, more people want to be involved, is when it's just natural off the
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ross just messaged me and said, yes, send the commercial promos. So yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Woohoo.
On that.
Yeah. So that'd be great. So next week you're just going to do the portraits of the people who send you things. Is that what the purpose and goal is, or?
Yeah, I'll just go in the order that I receive them. I'll try to be a little quicker this time, that way we won't have anybody in exchange and, getting me the photos and stuff. So it'll be a lot quicker this time coming up with me having access to the photos right there.
So are you going to say you must be on the stream to have your photos done, or?
I don't know, actually. I'll have to think about how that'll work, but that, I would still probably end up going alphabetically even if they weren't there, because they do take the time to, take the pictures.
That's true. Yeah, because they can watch it later.
Well, yeah, and they're also putting in that intention of taking our pictures too. That's pretty big,
you're right.
For somebody to commit to not, maybe.
Yeah. Remember to tell them to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I didn't get that plug in when we had a little bit larger audience earlier, but please do that. Helps us.
Okay.
We don't get paid for this. We do this for fun. So.
Well, that's been the magic of the whole night. Everything that we discussed all night long is free.
Yeah.
That's really how it expands out. And, I had to learn that lesson myself, was when it is free, people are attracted to it no matter what.
Yeah.
But when it's free, it means a lot, and it can also get lost in the backwash, but you're planting the seeds. That's what we're doing. Just like what, the guys tonight, that's what everybody's doing, is planting seeds of love everywhere for free.
Yeah, and I have friends that are like, I can't believe you're going to do that.
Do what?
Have a show.
Why?
I don't know. I guess they're afraid they're going to drag queens read children's school books or some shit. I don't know.
That's not what it was.
I know that, but everybody gets these notions in their head, and they won't get out of the damn media and educate yourself.
They're missing a lot of great people by doing that.
Yeah.
That's right. And Todd, you are a large audience, so.
The largest.
Whoa. He must have psychic. Never mind. I don't want to.
Come on, Glenn. Keep it clean.
I did send you that picture, and I haven't got a chance to really talk to you about it. That was an old one. What did you think of that picture?
Honestly, I was like, okay, this isn't his photo. This can't be his photo, because this is so good. Like, for it to just be some random photo that you sent me. So I was like, first question, is this your photo? You're like, yes.
It was.
Then I'm like, okay, what are those bushes behind there? I'm trying to eliminate anything that could be like in question, because I swear to you, there's probably like 5 to 7 orbs in that picture. And I have a theory about orbs, which is if you can see the faces in them, that's the orb. Sometimes when you'll see like a sphere of light, even on people's pictures, are like, what does this mean? Does it mean anything? And it's a little iPhone green thing. If you were attracted to the light, it's because you're supposed to look somewhere in the photo and find something. It's not always an orb. But that photo you sent me, man, it's got like 5 faces. I can see clearly.
Wow. You can see one. I mean, just staring at the camera.
That's the one where I was like, okay, this must be the one that he's talking about when he said orb. But I'm like, but what about that one and that one and that one and that one? And
Where were you?
It was shot. I'll have to go back and look. It was off my back deck, and it was either before or after a storm. I think it was right before.
Oh.
And we had been talking in my Bigfoot group. Well, we also do the paranormal about the electrical activity and how things are stirred up in a storm. And so I was like, I'm going to test this theory. It's a bunch of crap. And I just went on the back porch and I just started taking random photos, just the trees, whatever. And I did like 20 of them. One of them, there's a face dead center of the screen just staring at you, like looking at you like, why are you taking my picture?
Wow, that's crazy.
I do have a big deck. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
So. But
Hey, Nikki.
yeah. Yeah, so I hadn't had anybody to share it with. I mean, obviously you can see the one plainly, but I ran across it. Just I don't know how I even ran across it while I was here going through stuff at Mom's. I was like, wait a minute, I gotta send this to Nikki. So
I'd like to see that too. Just to
I'll send it to you.
Look at it. Okay. Nikki, have you ever seen anybody's photographs that like photographed that light or candles bend, like in pictures, bend toward them?
You mean like it's always kind of like prone to going towards them?
Yeah, like the light or a candle or something will show in the picture shining like really bright towards them, almost like a lightning bolt.
There was a lady in the audience, Joy, who said hi to me from her and King Mo, is what we call Mo, her partner across the veil. But that happens to her pretty much every picture that she takes and sends to me. She's like, look, you can see Mo. And it's that exactly what you're talking about. It'll be like a streak right in front or a streak here through. Yes, that happens to a lot of people who have connections.
So it means they have a connection with something, or?
Well, it means that they're higher sensitivity to those things, in my opinion, because, I mean, those are the people that I've gotten the photos from, are people that have results that you can see in the photos. But I do believe that they do have a higher sensitivity because pretty much every picture, it's going to come out like that. And, you know, you have people who will say, well, you can make that happen all the time, but, you know, who's going to concentrate every single picture in all these different situations where it happens to them? So,
no, yeah, I've got like random pictures of, well, I was talking about my brother. It just made me think of it. I've got random pictures of him that, like candles or mostly candles, like if you take a picture of him beside one, the light from the candle is like a lightning bolt towards his head.
So what I would suggest when you see that happen is to look everywhere except for where you're supposed to look at in that picture. That's how I find the majority of the faces that I can see, is because where it's wanting you to look, sometimes you'll find things there, but the majority of the time it's going to be somewhere tucked away or hidden or over in the corner or down here where nobody even is looking at. They're all looking at where they're told to look.
I may see if I can find them in a couple and send them to you.
Okay, sure. I'd love to look at them for you.
Yeah.
Cool. Still let you dissect that picture for me because I don't have a clue. But all right. Well, so and then wait a minute. Okay, look who.
If you send me pictures of people that could possibly be, so you'd have a lot of thinking to do with that picture.
Oh, Lord, I have no idea.
I was going to look here real quick. Next week's show, we also have. It's another movie producer and hopefully star if we can get it. They are, well, basically they're comic book creators, they're artists who are still doing things the old-fashioned way. And when I say the old-fashioned way, they are still doing the actual art. They're hand drawing it. They're hand doing everything. They're not using iPads or Apples or whatever. And they're still publishing it themselves, and they're doing it the old way with the old style. So I'm kind of excited about that. Another comic book story. So that's next week. Saturday is the Misfits live on Yerg's Radio, Live 365. Download the app. And then the Misfits, our theme, if you will, is going to be food and sex. So I've already seen demonstration photos from Todd with Pop Rocks, and I'm kind of scared.
Demonstration?
I mean, he sent a picture of it, so I'm like,
just the Pop Rocks, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure he has. No, it was something about a fajita. I don't know. I tried to tune him out some. So
the fajita.
Yeah, sugar fajita.
That was a meme, you goofball.
But he did order the Pop Rocks, so there's obviously going to be some kind of, I don't know, experimentation. So
experimentation.
He may have to find a place that he can dress up in drag and go check out things. We'll see. Actually, I would like to put a camera on him and send him dressed in drag to a place like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh my Lord!
With Pop Rock.
With Pop Rocks. Have him just hanging off of me. Free kisses. So.
Put some chapstick on and put them suckers on your lips.
Yeah. They won't pop till you get them wet, right?
Right.
That's right. So make sure
they just stick to that chapstick.
Yeah. Make sure to tune in to Misfits Saturday. I don't know what we're going to get into. It's going to be fun. So we'll be live on Jurg's Radio, Live 365. You can call into that show as well, 1-888-88-JURGS. And you can also, if you choose to remain anonymous, you can send us a message over on SpeakPipe. You can go to speakpipe.com, the pair are normal guys with a Z, and send us a message anonymously if you're afraid that we're going to expose your deep, dark secret on the internet. But either way, you got plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Or if you just want to send us a plain old email, you can email the pairarenormalguys@gmail.com. So I guess that's pretty much it for this show. It went great. I really enjoyed our guest. And as usual, we thank Ross for putting up with us and tolerating us. He's been a blessing to us. So, and I think Warren said he was in.
Ross.
So
he's in for the
pleasure,
food.
guys.
He's in for the food show next week. The Misfits.
Oh yeah.
Ross, you might want to start thinking up some stories now, Ross.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in Pennsylvania for that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you guys next week.
We need the phones. We don't need the phones. Nobody ever calls.
Well, actually, that's actually an easier fix. One of you two just needs to put your foot up Glenn's ass to beat me. We got the phone system is staying. That's I'm always going to keep. I love the number. That's staying. The distributor for the radio side of it is just not what we need. We're growing too fast for them.
Can you forward the phone to his cell?
No, the phone. He will download his own app for the company, and I've got.
Chop, buddy.
Let me see here. We've got a business 800 number too that isn't necessarily for on the air, but there's the Jurg's Radio, there's my number, a direct number, and then there's two other direct numbers. Instead of giving Glenn a dedicated number, I'm going to keep that for like a team.
Yeah.
And he's going to use the same username and password. David Beckmeyer is going to use the same username and password, and so on. And ultimately, being the super administrator of the whole account, if David tries to hijack it, I can lock him out. And I can take back that number. I can't do that with the radio side.
Yeah.
And my bigger concern isn't David, trying to get in a fight with me and taking over the station. It's David having a live show tonight, not shutting it off.
Oh, yeah.
And now, we're broadcasting him snoring for Bobby D. and we can't get into the station to cut it out.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So he's got to see it and shut it off. So and we just we're growing too much to have something like that happen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting lots of listeners, views, likes. So
you hearing that?
Yeah, I see him too.
He wants to play.
I had to yell at him earlier. He wanted to play, and I had to sit down here. I'm coming.
Ross is coming. You announced it.
I'll have to
hear me yell that, did you?
Yeah, I'll have to make a screen cap of that, or what do you call it? A audio cap of that.
Yeah.
Coming.
I'm coming. You
there's
click
one
them all,
for Dina.
boys do not come.
Now,
No, I don't have that soundboard with me. So I didn't bring all my
shoot.
sounds. So, but I did get a new one.
Like,
Call them dumps, big, massive
he's
dumps.
laying down now. He's all sad.
oh,
Well, we'll let you go take care of him. Ladies, I appreciate it. It was a great show. Ross, thanks for having us.
Yep, absolutely.
And until Saturday, or if not, until next week. Well, you'll be in Pennsylvania next week, too.
I'm going to try to talk to some of these other suppliers and see if we can either get like a free week, a test week, as they mostly do. And if you go with them, they just they backdate your starting of the account. Like if we were in our free week right now, it was started Monday. If we all decide, okay, yeah, this is the one to go with, the start date for our account is going to be Monday, not next week. So you still pay for it if you decide to go with them. But I just don't want to. There was a European company we went with at the very beginning, and they said, $50 a month and money back. And I never saw that. And when we tried to get out of that, I knew we got out of it, but that's $50 I'm never going to see again. And Greece needs it more than we do.
apparently.
We'll find it. And we're growing so fast. So how many viewers did we have tonight? Do you know?
Back and forth between 8 to 10.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. I'll take them.
And that's the other thing that sucks right now too, is that if I'm not going to stay with Live 365, and it just when I see the other options that are now out there that I didn't find before, it's looking like that's what's going to be the case. I don't want to go taking this equivalent to an RSS feed and putting it on all the other platforms to go through all the other platforms and have to change it.
Yeah.
Right.
So once we get on some of these other platforms and they can tell that, this feed is on different platforms, they promote it harder.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got just better chances of coming up in searches.
Yeah.
Right.
So that'll help us grow too.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always surprised to look at the analytics. I mean, we have listeners in Europe and Greece and parts of the country. I don't know a single soul. And I'm like, how did they find me? So I love it.
We've been on every continent but South Pole. I keep saying South America. I said that in the middle of a network thing today. And the leader, I think, was a black guy that has an African accent.
Oh, no. That's
And
funny.
he laughed the hardest, actually. I do that all the time. Antarctica.
There you go. I'll work on getting this one up there.
I know who you need to get on here. If you
Wait a
can.
minute. Hold on. You trying to kick me out?
No, not you. Not as a dadgummit, as a guest. His name is Quite Frankly. Or his name is Frank, but he has a podcast name called Quite Frankly. And he has listeners everywhere.
Well,
Even
get me in
in-
touch.
I just messaged these two gay guys that are a couple up in Nova Scotia that are big YouTubers and social media guys, and they got a podcast. They had some Christian lady write them this really heartfelt message that how she's really starting to accept LGBTQ people into her life, and I think marriage is between a man and a woman, but I see how you should be happy too. And that got like 2,600 likes in 4 hours.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, and I think that is coming out to be what it is too.
Four times as many views.
That's great.
Yeah.
We're going somewhere as a country, so still, I don't know. Some people may take offense to this, but it's still the greatest country. You can compare us to other shitholes, but I think we're still the better shithole. Even with all the crap we do wrong. No, it's true.
Exactly.
We are the
And I
best
was-
shithole in the world.
That's right. That's right. And I am blessed to be in this one. So, all right, guys, I'm signing off. You all have a wonderful evening, and thank you for tuning
Kidding, I don't
in.
think America's a shithole.
Yeah, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
See you
At Nina,
Saturday.
don't come at Sportcat.
I said I don't think America's a shithole.
I should have. Where's my beat button? All right, everybody have a wonderful evening. We will see you this weekend. Thank you for watching, and please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Naughty naughty.
Yes.